This is the first time we've done something like this at Wall Street Mortgage, and I'm not a seminar speaker or public speaker per se. I'm in the mortgage business, so I have some little notes here. I don't want to forget anything, but I probably should introduce you formally to Steve Pierce. He's the director of the Academy, and a phenomenal man. I've known him for, gosh, probably 11 years on a personal and a business relationship. He's done everything in mortgage lending, from originating to managing to teaching, all that kind of stuff. So if those of you that do wind up with working with our company, someone that you'll definitely want to get to know. Now, our goal here tonight is pretty simple and straightforward. We want to provide you guys with information, and we want to give you an education tonight, enough of an education that you can make a determination, is the mortgage industry right for you? Okay? There's a little bit of foundation you're going to need to know before, I believe, you can make that decision to get into the industry, at least an intelligent decision. If you pick the wrong company to go to work for, or the wrong compensation structure, it could seriously mess up your earning ability. So that's our goal here tonight. And we have a lot of information to cover. We're actually going to cover more information than we originally thought. So what I'd like you to do, I noticed some of you have notepads, is if you want to take notes and write your questions down, I'm going to be here at the end of the meeting. My business partner, Joe Bissell, will be glad to answer all your questions. Steve Pierce will be here as well. I've also asked about 3-4 of our loan officers from our company to be here tonight, and they're all recent graduates of the Academy. And they're going to be here to answer your questions or concerns as well. So maybe you get that perspective of someone who's been in your shoes very recently. And I just want to take a moment to introduce them and thank them for being here, because they're here on their own time tonight. They're here for you guys as well as us. And they're in the back. On the left here, we have Doug Preston, and then we have Scott McLaren, Kristen Jones, and Les Klein, and who is an ex-FHA HUD auditor. So I'm sure he's got an interesting take on the business. So definitely after the meeting, please feel free to come up, ask us specific questions. We'll be here as late as you guys want us here. I want to make sure and get to everyone and talk to everyone personally if that's what you want to do. I'm going to talk for probably 6 or 7 more minutes here. I'm going to bring my business partner up, Joe Bissell. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to go over some very specific questions that you can ask of any employer you apply with, any mortgage company. Now, it's really important to me tonight. You guys have taken time out of your day to be here, and I appreciate that. And it's important to me to give you something of value for coming tonight. If you decide the mortgage industry isn't even for me, thanks for the meeting, great to meet you, goodbye. If you decide that maybe it is for me, but maybe your company's not right for me, I want you to be able to be armed with some knowledge. If you decide not to get into business, maybe what you learned here tonight can save you $500 or $1,000 on your next refinance or home purchase. Maybe if you decide to get into business, you can take some of these questions when you go and apply and ask the owners or whoever you interview with these very specific questions. There are many different commission structures and business models within the mortgage industry. There's lots of people who call themselves loan officers. Many of you have listened to my recording. Why is it that the guy over here is a loan officer and he makes $40 grand a year? He's been in the business 20 years. The guy over here has been in the business 3 years. He makes $250 grand a year. Don't even know if he has a high school degree. There's a reason for that. They take the same residential loan application. Do they do the same thing? Kind of. You go to work at a bank, like Wells Fargo, Bank One, something like that. It's a very structured environment. You're an employee, period. Show up by 9, leave by 5. You're meeting with production managers. You're going to this meeting. You're going to this training. You're taking an application geared toward the bank. On the mortgage broker side, which is what we are, it's more like you're a consultant. You meet with your client, you determine what their needs are, and then your benefit and your value comes from knowing products and programs and placing them into those products and programs. So there's a lot of different things to separate those two loan officers as well. Some mortgage companies simply pay you maybe half of the loan origination fee, what we call the front side pricing. There's a whole lot more money on the table than that. I've personally interviewed loan officers that have been in the business 10 years and have looked at me and said, what's backside pricing? And then they say, well, I fund $50 million a year. Well, they fund $50 million a year and make 70 grand when they should be making 700 grand. So there's a lot of opportunity in this business. I'll take just another minute and tell you a little bit about myself and what the business did for me, because trust me, I am no smarter than anyone else. I'm bad at math. I'm a horrible speller. So if I can do this business, anyone can that puts their mind to it. It's not difficult, but you do need to know a few things. In 1994, I was a loss prevention manager for Broadway Southwest, right here at the PV Mall store, which is now Macy's. It was a great job. I worked through college. I chased shoplifters and handled internal theft and got to wear jeans every day and didn't have a boss in the store. And it was a blast. But a good friend of mine named David Thurlman got in the mortgage business and called me one day and he said, you know, Joe, you need to take a look at this business. I'm making a lot of money. And I'm like, no, that's sales. I'm not interested, David. A few months later, my now current business partner, Joe Bissell, got in the loan business. Called me and said, Joe, you need to take a look at this. I'm making a lot of money and I have a lot of freedom. And Joe was formerly in the corporate world in an officership position, and so he was enjoying the freedom that he had. And I said again, no, I don't think it's right for me. I don't want to do that. I'm happy catching shoplifters and doing this and making my 30 grand a year salary, which was great for me at the time. So one night I'm sitting by the door and I'm sitting there, I'm going, good night, good night, good night, good night, you know, at 9:45, and I think, you know, I'm never going to go anywhere here. My boss might make 50, 60 grand. He's regional. He's not going anywhere. I'd have to switch companies, move out of state to get a regional position. And I had been in it 7 years. And I just felt like I had no place to go. And I thought, maybe I should try this loan thing. You know? A lot of my friends and family would tell me, oh, you're a risk taker after I got in the loan business. You did well because you're a gambler. Going in all commission, self-employment, leaving that salary. I said, you know what? I'm really not a risk taker. I'm not. I think in worst case scenarios, and I build in my mind a safety net. I sat there at Broadway and I said, if I go try this and it don't work, or I don't like it, I'll just go back to Broadway and be a loss prevention manager. You know? Yeah, they may fill my spot. Yeah, you know, I may have to go to a different store. I might even have to go down and being a detective or whatever. But I can always go back to what I was doing before. I didn't hear what David and Joe had to say and think, that's impossible. My uncle was a loan officer. He never made 40 grand. No one can make 200. No, I thought in a risk versus return. If I go do this and I do 1 or 2 loans, I'll learn something. No one will ever be able to rip me off on a mortgage again. I can always go back to Broadway. So I just want to stress, keep an open mind. Again, you guys, your time tonight, I promise you, will be well spent. If you get up and leave and I never see you again, we've got some valuable information for you tonight. It's just a thank you for you coming tonight. And think globally. Success in this business, and I think in relationships and life in general, is about being able to think globally. Win the war, don't worry about winning the battle. I can't tell you how many garage door openers, gates I bought for people because their loan closed 2 days late because they didn't get me the pay stub when I told them. So I can either be right and go broke, or I can pay $300 for a garage door opener and say, oh yeah, Mr. Jones, I know you forgot to drive it to me, so he gave it to me a week later. Really didn't hurt anything when it really crashed and broke the loan. And the next day I go down and deposit $3,700 in my bank account because I have $4 grand on the loan. And honestly, my business partner, I have to give full credit to, Joe Bissell, somewhat of a mentor to me, especially in the beginning, taught me a lot about being right, wrong, and making money. And I'm not a person that's just money hungry or focused on money by any means. I'm really not. I just wanted a life that I could do the things I want to do. I don't need any certain numbers in my bank account. I wanted the freedom to take vacation when I wanted to take it. I didn't want to have to be under the thumb, be told to be at work by 9, can't leave before 5. Didn't want to worry about having to wait 6 months to take more vacation days. And that's what the loan business afforded me. Is the loan business right for everyone? Obviously not. I mean, everyone will be doing it, I guess. But it does offer freedom. It offers a great self-employment opportunity, a way to earn a substantial income without a lot of overhead, risk, or liability. So again, I'll be back up in a few minutes. My business partner Joe Bissell and I opened Wall Street Mortgage in 1994. Joe was with Bank One as a commercial lender for over a decade. He's been married 20 years and has 2 kids. Was actually my accounting instructor at the university. He teaches graduate level finance and accounting. That's where I met him. And is a phenomenal business partner and actually has become a very good friend of mine. So I'll bring him up now. There he is. This is Joe Bissell.
Start right off by congratulating you for coming here, because you know that you opened up your mind to an opportunity. Something that's different, it's challenging, it's uncertain, you don't know about it, it's commission, but you came here tonight anyway to listen for a half hour, 45 minutes of something, to learn something. And seriously, you should really pay yourself on the back for that. If you've been listening to the news for the last 3 months, you've seen layoff after layoff after layoff. AT&T 10,000, Service Merchandise 9,000. Now Ford Motor Company came out and announced 22,000 careers they're going to cut. By you coming here tonight, looking at a position like this, these positions, you virtually eliminate the possibility of ever being laid off again. You cannot be laid off. Terminated if you did something wrong, would not be laid off. That's one of the advantages of a commission loan. People generally have a stigma in their mind and they think only about, like Joe was saying, they want a safety net or they worry about, it's predominantly, you know, people just need a little bit of confidence building to help them and some nurturing. Most of you have probably heard the name, and I'm certainly not a public speaker either, or a motivational type speaker, but you've probably heard the name Anthony Robbins before, and of course that's what he does too. Larry King Live had him on about a week and a half ago, and he said something that really rang true to me. And I memorized it. It just impressed me so much. And that was, he said, people's quality of life are in direct proportion with their acceptance level of uncertainty. That's what you do by coming here tonight. You've accepted uncertainty. You don't know anything really about this. You may have viewed a website, you may have talked to somebody on the phone to learn a little bit about it. But the mortgage industry is still kind of a little bit of a cloud. And so, you know, seriously, you deserve a pat on the back for being here, to just take the time out to open your mind to a new opportunity. How did I learn? And I'll just be up for 5 or 6 more minutes. But how did I learn about the mortgage industry? You know, where did it came out of the blue to me? I stumbled upon it, as Joe was saying. At that time, I was also teaching at the university, graduate level finance and accounting, and I was running and part owner of an optical chain, 20/20 Eyes. And one of my students at the university, as we'd go around and introduce ourselves and our backgrounds and what do we do, an individual said that he did mortgage lending. And I had just left the bank at that time, after 10 years of doing commercial lending. And so, commercial lending, you might work a whole year on a loan, and it could fall through. And there's no commission to be paid. Now I got paid a salary, but we also got bonuses at the bank. So mortgage lending to me didn't fascinate me, Matt. It didn't stimulate me. I didn't think that it was probably a high calculating challenge. But as I kept meeting with this gentleman at dinner breaks, I asked him one day, I said, what kind of money is in the mortgage industry? His name is Chad. And he said, well, I earn about $30,000 to $50,000. And I remember I was at Wendy's eating cheeseburger at the time, and he said, a month. And I took it out of my mouth. And I said, you mean a year? And he said, no, a month. Now at this time, I was about 30 years old. Had all these degrees, all this experience with the bank. And here's this guy, 23 years old, in a graduate class. And I said, you make $30,000 to $50,000. I said, what are you doing here in school? And he said, self-actualization. I've always wanted to be a master's degree. And I said, well, it certainly won't add any income to that level. And he said, that's not what I'm here. I told you. I said, okay, so a few classes went by, and it just really ate on me. I just really didn't believe it. I just couldn't comprehend it, I think. I just couldn't wrap my arms around that somebody can make $30,000 to $50,000, certainly not a 23-year-old kid. I was just in disbelief. I was thinking to myself, and I remember consciously thinking this, and I'm embarrassed to admit this because it's condescending. I remember thinking to myself, I went to college for 10 years, to get a job at this bank, to work in commercial lending, interviewed against 132 people, had to meet with 8 interviewers and get approved by every one of them, had to have a master's degree, had to have a GPA of 3.9 to 4.0, had to take a psychological examination for several days, had to take financial examinations for a week, to get into a job, worked there for 10 years. I was always within the top 3 out of 84 producers, and I made $38,500 a year. Donating my Fridays to junior achievement and public school systems, to high school students, trying to help lead them into careers that fit what they wanted. And I thought, how is it possible for this guy to make more in a month than I do in a year? So I just left and chalked it up to disbelief. You know, he's just fit. What did leave me alone? Torture. So about another month and a half later, I finally built up. And there's no way to avoid the impoliteness of asking this, but I said, you know, I know this is going to sound like I just don't believe you. Could you bring a pay stub to class next week? And he said, sure. Sure. And he remembered. And he was at $379,000. And that did it. I went home. I remember I told my wife, I said, this is insanity. I've killed myself for $38,500 a year. And this kid's making more than that every month. Not 1 year. He had already done it for 2.5 years. Got into it when he was 20 and a half. And I'm thinking, how come nobody told me about this? Where was my guidance counselor? You know, I could work at UPS and make more probably than I could at the bank. I didn't know that then. What we do in this academy, it's a 5-day training. It's a 5-day training. In those 5 days, we give you the academic, as I call it, the academic tool belt. It's not hard. Like Joe said, you don't have to be a math person. You don't have to be a computer whiz. You run a calculator, give your full attention, you can learn it. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. I'll talk to you just a minute about what Joe touched on. Why do some people make $40,000 a year in this industry and some make, he said, $250,000. Give you a little more dramatic of some numbers of employees that we have on the year-to-dates from last year when they came in. But why do people make $40,000 and some people more? I studied that. I literally made that almost a hobby of mine to figure that out. Because when I was at the bank doing commercial lending, I was lending money to dry cleaners chains, let's say, for example, the middle market lending. One was claiming bankruptcy, and one was making $3 million a year. It fascinated me. Why is that? Was it their education? The people running the business? It wasn't. I confirmed that by teaching at the university. It wasn't the education. I looked back into the mortgage industry at our company for almost 10 years. And I said, why is this guy, Joe, Dan, Bruce, Tony, why are they all exceeding over $500,000 this year? Several of them closed just under $1 million for their earnings for the year. Why is that? Dan didn't finish high school. Tony did, but dropped out of college. Bruce had an MBA in engineering. Undergraduate degree in engineering and an MBA in finance. There was a whole wide array of spectrum. It wasn't education. Was it personality? Was it the people that made the most amount of money are just so aggressive? Were they cultivated in New York or something? Did they work in the auto industry? What was it that drove me crazy? It wasn't personality. Tenacity helps. What was it? We narrowed it down. It was probably 4 or 5 factors. Organizational skills. Ongoing education in their field. They went. They never stopped. They had drive. They had tenacity. They always wanted to know what was the next program out there in lending. Mortgage lending doesn't stop with a 30-year fix and a 15 fine. You'll make $50,000 a year. And you can work 25 hours a week. If that's what you want. There's no problem with that. We don't have any quotas. But we don't do that. What we have found, and it's the same thing with a physician coming out of school. Why don't physicians fail? Why don't they finish medical school and then just get shoved out like everyone else does out of college and say, go find a job? You're on your own. You don't hear those stories of those people fail. You know why? Internships. Internships. That was one of the critical paths to success that I had come to a conclusion when I did a master's thesis. You have to mentor people. This is what we do. For 5 days, we educate you from 10 to 5 at this location. Our conference rooms aren't large enough. We do it right here at the Embassy Suites in one of the ballrooms. We set up in a classroom environment, break you up into groups. 5 days, we educate you. Right after the education, this is the most critical part, we mentor you. That's your internship. That's the big key to success. We've watched loan officer after loan officer after loan officer fail. And we've watched them succeed. And we've studied. And we know the answer. People have to be mentored. You can't be dropped off after 5 days of training. It doesn't work. You flounder. There are so many variables in mortgage lending. It's not complicated mentally, but there's a lot of variables. What happens if they have perfect credit, but in 97, he had surgery at work, fell, collected workman comp, had some medical bills. All those variables come into effect. So what we do is when you finish the training, during the mentorship, we have your instructor of that class, in this case tonight's Mr. Pierce is here, who has managed for 10 years in the banking environment, the mortgage environment. He sits down with you with every single loan you turn in. One-on-one. One-on-one. That's what it needs. And he helps teach you. You need to offer this to the customer. You need to do that. This is another benefit to the customer. This is a better program than the program you have. Okay? So we mentor you. Then the last area, the third area is follow-up. We follow up with a weekly meeting, continuing education in a couple of areas. Programs. You have to ongoingly really educate yourself. You need to know every program that's out there because that will bleed into the marketing classes that we instruct with you and spend time and tell you how to market it. But if you don't know the programs, teachers in the public school system, this is just recent. Not every bank offers this. I don't know of any bank probably that offers this. Maybe there's a couple. Certainly not every mortgage broker. Teachers get interest rates of 5 and 5/8 on their mortgages right now. Fixed. Nothing down. And you get a huge commission for giving them that loan. There's no strings attached to it. You get paid from the bank, and that's what Joe was talking about with backside pricing. If you've ever wondered, how can somebody do a loan for us on our home and charge us no origination or no discount points, whatever that is, and how are they getting paid? The bank pays us. The bank pays you for bringing that loan into the door. Second mortgages. You've seen NITEC funding. You get all the ads in the mailbox that will drive you crazy. How do they make money? We have them up to $100,000 on a second mortgage. You don't qualify with your income. You don't qualify with assets. Totally no qualification. You could be unemployed. Well, yeah, Joe, but what are the fees? $250 the customer pays. Total, $250. Well, yeah, but what's the rate? Prime plus 0. And you get 3 points commission. $100,000 second. $100,000 credit line, you get $3,000 commission. That's how much money. That's where the big money is. You have to know the programs and understand them. And you won't know it just by going to a 5-day class. You need to go to the continuing education. I used to have people ask me all the time. I was telling one of our recent graduates that just finished up who told me she just got a pool builder and just picked up 5 loans just last Saturday at one place. I was closing. I came to their class the first day. I was closing when I was doing mortgages on a full-time basis, and that's why I had Joe bring up that I'm married for almost 20 years. Not working weekends, before I tell you the number. Not working weekends. Cutting it off at 6:30. 100 loans a month. Not seconds. All first mortgages. 100. Not getting 100 loans. Closing 100 loans. Closing 100 loans. Well, yeah, but Joe, you probably had a big team of people supporting you, and you got all the business and all that. No, just me, all by myself with one processor, which you get also, a processor. Processor is going to be the person that takes all these papers that you collect, unless you do it electronically, because we offer it, we have a website, we set up just your website with your pictures on it in 10 minutes. That's how fast technology has plagiarized. I didn't have any of that. Just manually closing 100 loans a month. Just being organized. Just coming up with systems. Just like any fast food chain. That's why McDonald's succeed and Rally's may fail if they don't have the systems now. We created the systems. We cookie cutter them. We refined them. We worked on them for 10 years. See, our problem is we need you more than you guys. So if you don't do loans, we don't get the commission. We don't get a portion. So it's imperative for us not to just hire you. We need to make sure you produce. We need to train you, mentor you, educate you continually, and motivate you. And always be there, month to month, and support you. Whether it's through technology or programs. Otherwise, we don't get anything. What I'm going to do now is Joey's going to be handing out, or Amber and Jody, a couple of sheets that he made reference to earlier about what questions to ask an employer if you didn't come to work with our firm. Say you're moving or what have you, to make sure you're getting the highest commission split. When we came into this industry, we paid the highest commission split the day we opened doors on Camelback. And I had people threatening me and other brokers. Rich Rector, founder of Realty Executives, he said, Joe, that's nothing. Century 21 filed about 10 lawsuits against me. Because I was complaining to him one day. And I said, I've got brokers from around the state calling me, yelling at me, cursing at me, saying, why are you paying people 70, at that time it was 70, now 70. Why are you paying people such high percentages? Just paying 50%. They'll still get rich. I said, because that's not what we're here to do. We want to motivate the sales force beyond belief. Read Sam Walton's book. Volume. Some years, we've come close to funding $1 billion in mortgages. Not only the largest in the state of Arizona, we've hit within the top 5 of volume production within the United States 3 or 4 years. Within the top 5. That's a big statement. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. We can't do all those loans. We need to train them. Okay, Joe's going to go over this, and I'm going to come back just for a 2-minute wrap up.